Right. So this deep dive is a special request
Oh, cool.
from one of you guys, actually, who wants to get into like the real nitty-gritty science of resilience.
Okay.
Not just the like inspiring stories,
Right.
but what is going on like in your brain and your body
Oh, I love that.
when you're being resilient.
Yeah.
And to do that, we're going to draw on the work of two kind of leading experts in their fields.
Okay.
Dr. Andrew Huberman, who's like a neuroscientist, who's all about like how our brains handle stress and stuff, and Dr. Brene Brown,
Love her.
who focuses on like courage and vulnerability,
Yeah.
which maybe isn't the first thing you think about when you think about resilience.
That's what's so interesting about it.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool we're going to connect those dots between the physical side and the emotional side of resilience,
Totally.
using those two seemingly different fields.
Okay, so let's just jump right in.
Yeah.
And let's start with something I think we all experience,
For sure.
stress. We hear a lot that it's like the enemy,
Yes.
but Huberman has kind of a different take on it.
Okay.
He's like, stress is actually natural. This is a healthy response
Right.
that like helped us survive way back when.
Yeah. Think about it this way. Our ancestors had to deal with like real physical threats like all the time.
Right.
So if you think about encountering a predator,
Yeah.
their stress response kicked in, right?
Mm-hmm.
This heart rate speeds up, you start breathing faster, you get a surge of energy.
Get ready to fight.
Exactly. And then your attention is laser focused on that threat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your amygdala, which is like the brain's fear center, just doing its job.
So like that's like running from a saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah.
But now like our saber-toothed tigers are like work deadlines and traffic jams.
Exactly. The problem is our bodies react the same way to these like modern everyday stressors, but instead of like running or fighting,
We're sitting at a desk.
we're stuck in traffic or behind a computer screen.
Yeah.
And that flood of stress hormones has nowhere to go.
Right.
It's just building up.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
So like how does resilience fit into all this?
Well, Huberman says that resilience is about how effectively your brain manages that stress response.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about eliminating stress altogether.
Right.
I mean, that's impossible.
You're going to have stress.
You're going to have stress. It's about learning to ride the waves, recover quickly, and even use stress to your advantage.
Okay. I like where this is going.
Yeah.
But how do we actually like do that?
Right.
Like train our brains to be more resilient?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
So Huberman talks about a concept called stress inoculation.
Stress inoculation.
Yeah.
Does that involve needles?
No needles involved.
Okay, good.
I promise you.
Right.
But it's basically about intentionally exposing yourself to small, manageable doses of stress to kind of build up that mental muscle.
So it's kind of like working out at the gym, but for your brain.
Yeah, exactly. Just like lifting weights makes your muscles stronger.
Uh-huh.
Exposing yourself to these manageable challenges helps your brain get better at handling stress.
So like every time you face a challenge and you overcome it, you're showing your brain that stress is survivable.
Exactly.
Okay. So like if I'm terrified of public speaking, giving a presentation, even though it's scary, could actually help me become like a more confident speaker.
That's the idea.
That's the idea.
Your brain learns that even though you're experiencing those physical symptoms, you know, the racing heart, maybe sweaty palms, a trembling voice, you can still get through it.
Okay.
And each time you do, you build up that resilience.
That's actually really encouraging.
It is.
I'm starting to see how this applies to like all different areas of life.
It does.
And this kind of ties into another key point from Huberman. Your mindset plays a huge role in how you experience stress.
Big time.
What does mindset have to do with resilience?
That's a great question. So Huberman's research has actually shown that people who view stress as an opportunity for growth tend to be more resilient.
Okay.
It's not about ignoring the tough feelings, but it's about reframing them.
Okay.
So instead of seeing stress as a threat, you start to see it as a chance to learn, to adapt, and to become stronger.
So like if you're stressed about a big exam coming up, you should tell yourself like, this is making me stronger.
You're on the right track.
Okay.
It's not quite as simple as that, but it's about shifting the story you tell yourself about stress.
Okay.
So if you see it as a destructive force, it's more likely to have those negative impacts.
Right.
But if you can see it as a challenge that you can overcome, it can actually fuel your growth.
Okay.
And that's the difference between those who crumble under pressure and those who thrive.
Okay, so instead of freaking out about every little thing,
right,
we should try to see these situations as like opportunities to build that muscle.
Exactly. And this is where the work of Dr. Brené Brown comes in.
Okay.
Because she might seem like an unlikely source for building resilience.
Right.
Because her research focuses on vulnerability and courage.
Uh-huh.
But her work actually reveals why those qualities are so essential for bouncing back from these challenges.
Wait, vulnerability.
Yes.
Isn't that like the opposite of being resilient?
You might think so.
I kind of do.
But Brown makes a really compelling case for why embracing vulnerability is actually a key ingredient in building true resilience.
Okay. Tell me more.
Okay, so she defines vulnerability as the willingness to show up and be seen, even when you're uncertain of the outcome.
Okay.
It's about embracing the unknown, taking risks, even if it means you might fail or get hurt.
So stepping outside of your comfort zone and allowing yourself to be exposed. Yeah. That sounds kind of scary.
It can be scary.
Yeah.
But she argues that vulnerability is an act of courage.
Okay.
And courage is at the very heart of resilience.
Interesting.
Because when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you open yourself up to learning to growth and genuine connection with others, all of which are essential for bouncing back from setbacks.
So by letting our guard down, we're actually building up our inner strength.
You got it.
Whoa.
It's about embracing your imperfections and acknowledging that you don't have to have it all figured out.
Okay.
And by doing so, you create that space for growth and connection, which are crucial for navigating life's inevitable challenges.
This is blowing my mind. God. So Huberman is focusing on like physically training our stress response. Yeah. And Brené Brown is saying emotional exposure through vulnerability is also crucial for resilience.
It is.
Okay.
So now, what do you think might get in the way of embracing that vulnerability? What do you think holds us back from being more open and authentic?
I mean, I guess fear of judgment.
Sure.
Like not wanting to appear weak or incapable or...
Yeah, those are definitely factors. But Brown's research points to shame as one of the biggest resilience killers.
You're right.
Shame tells us we're not good enough, that we're fundamentally flawed, and that we should hide our imperfections from the world.
Shame is such a powerful emotion.
It is.
It can be really hard to overcome.
It absolutely can be. But Brown suggests that the antidote to shame is connection. Okay. It's about talking to someone you trust. Yeah. Someone who can hold space for your vulnerability and being honest about your feelings and your experiences, even the messy ones.
So like confessing your screw-ups and imperfections actually makes you more resilient.
That's the paradox.
Interesting.
By sharing your struggles with someone who cares, you take away shame's power. Okay. It allows you to process those difficult emotions, gain perspective, and move forward without feeling so burdened.
Wow. That's powerful.
It is.
So by acknowledging our imperfections, we're actually freeing ourselves from their grip.
Exactly. And this brings us to another one of Brown's key insights. Okay. The power of belonging. She emphasizes that resilience isn't a solo mission. It's deeply intertwined with the support you receive from others, with feeling like you're part of something larger than yourself.
Belonging.
Belonging.
I like where this is going.
So think about it this way. Belonging gives you a sense of safety, purpose, and meaning, which makes it much easier to navigate challenges. Right. You know, you're not alone.
You've got people.
And that makes all the difference.
I can totally relate to that. Yeah. Like when I know my friends have my back, I feel like I can tackle anything.
Absolutely. There's strength in numbers. Yeah. That shared strength is a vital part of resilience, knowing that you're not alone, that there are people you can lean on when things get tough. It just makes the journey so much easier.
This is all so incredibly insightful. We've gone from like brain chemicals to the power of friendship.
I know.
All in the name of resilience.
It's amazing.
Like a whole new way of looking at things.
It is. That's exactly what we're hoping for. Yeah. You're starting to see how resilience is multifaceted. Yeah. It draws on both your internal resources and the support you receive from others.
This has been an amazing start to our deep dive.
I agree.
But we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much more to explore.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue to uncover the secrets of resilience with even more practical tips and thought-provoking insights from Dr. Huberman and Dr. Brown.
We'll go deeper into specific practices you can actually use to build up that resilience muscle.
I love it.
And navigate life's challenges with greater confidence and ease.
Can't wait. Okay, welcome back. I'm ready to get into some more practical stuff. We talked about this stress inoculation.
Yes.
But it all sounds kind of theoretical.
Right.
So how do we actually do it?
Well, let's get specific.
Okay.
Remember Dr. Huberman suggested cold exposure?
Yeah, the cold showers.
Yes.
I got to be honest, I'm a little skeptical.
Okay.
Does that really make a difference?
It might sound extreme, but there's actual science behind it.
Okay.
So your body is designed to adapt to challenges.
Right.
So when you expose yourself to cold, it activates this whole cascade of physiological responses.
Okay.
It increases your heart rate. It releases hormones like norepinephrine.
Norepinephrine.
Yes.
What would that do?
So it's a powerful neurotransmitter that helps you feel more alert and focused.
Okay.
Kind of like a natural energy boost.
Okay.
But what's fascinating is research suggests that these changes aren't just temporary.
Okay.
Regular cold exposure can actually increase your baseline levels of norepinephrine over time.
Interesting.
Making you less reactive to stress in general.
So it's training your nervous system to stay calmer.
Exactly.
When those everyday stressors pop up.
Yeah, and there's evidence that these effects can last for hours.
Wow.
Even days.
Really?
It's like building a buffer against those overwhelming feelings.
All right, so I'm starting to see the appeal.
Okay, good.
But cold showers aside, what are some other ways that we can train our stress response muscles?
Well, Dr. Huberman is a big advocate for exercise, and not just for the physical benefits.
Why?
Exercise has a profound impact on your brain chemistry.
Makes sense.
And your ability to handle stress.
I always feel better after a good workout.
It's not just about feeling good.
Right.
Exercise actually helps regulate your stress response system over time.
Interesting.
When you work out, your body releases endorphins,
right,
which have mood-boosting effects and can reduce feelings of anxiety.
Okay.
Plus, exercise improves your sleep quality.
That's huge.
Which is crucial for managing stress and recovering from challenges.
Oh, yeah. I know when I'm sleep deprived, everything feels 10 times harder.
Exactly. And here's another interesting point.
Okay.
Exercise can help reduce inflammation in the body, which is linked to stress and all sorts of health problems. So you're not just building mental resilience, you're also supporting your physical health.
That's awesome.
It is.
So we've got cold exposure exercise.
Yes.
Are there any resilience boosting practices for those of us who are not super excited about jumping into a cold shower or hitting the gym?
Of course.
Okay, good.
Even something as simple as deep breathing can make a big difference.
Deep breathing.
You probably already do this instinctively when you feel stressed.
Yeah, I definitely take a few deep breaths when I'm feeling overwhelmed.
There's a reason for that.
Okay.
So when you take slow, deep breaths, you're stimulating the vagus nerve, which plays a key role in calming your nervous system.
Okay.
And reducing that stress response.
So it's like sending a signal to your brain.
To chill out. To chill out. And the best part is you can do this anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Waiting in line, stuck in traffic, even right before a big presentation.
Right.
Just take a few deep breaths.
I'm loving these practical tips.
Good. I'm glad.
So we've talked a lot about managing our internal response to stress.
Yeah.
But, Brené Brown really emphasizes the importance of external support systems.
Right.
So how does that fit into the whole resilience puzzle?
That's a great question. So remember how we talked about shame being a resilience killer? Well, Brown's research shows that connection is the antidote to shame.
Okay.
So when you have strong social connections and a sense of belonging, you have a buffer against those negative thoughts and feelings that can erode your resilience.
So it's like having a safety net when you're walking a tightrope.
Yes.
Even if you stumble, there's someone there to catch you.
Exactly. It's about knowing you're not alone.
Right.
That there are people who care about you, who will support you through those tough times. Yeah. And it's not just about receiving support. It's also about giving it.
Interesting.
So when you contribute to the well-being of others, you build a sense of purpose and meaning, which strengthens your own resilience.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
You got to fill yourself up with connection and purpose in order to have something to give.
And Brown's research backs this up. People who have strong social connections tend to be more resilient in the face of adversity.
Okay.
They cope better with stress. They recover more quickly from setbacks, and they maintain a more positive outlook.
That makes sense.
It does.
But what if you're struggling to like build those connections?
Right.
Where do you even begin?
That's a great question, and it goes back to something we discussed earlier.
Right.
Vulnerability.
Oh, right.
Building genuine connections requires you to be willing to let your guard down and show up as your authentic self, even if it feels scary.
But that feels risky.
It does.
What if people reject you?
Well, there's always that risk.
Okay.
But the truth is, you can't control how other people react.
Right.
You can only control your own actions.
Okay.
And the more you practice vulnerability, the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
And the more open you are to connection, the more likely you are to find those people who will appreciate you for who you truly are.
So it's like taking a leap of faith.
Yeah.
Trusting that there are people out there who will embrace your true self.
Exactly. And remember, building connections takes time and effort. It's about showing up consistently, being present, and actively listening to others.
Yeah.
It's about offering support as well as asking for it.
So it's a two-way street.
Exactly. It's not just about taking, it's about giving as well.
Okay.
And the more you invest in those relationships, the stronger and more resilient you'll become.
Yeah.
Because you'll know that no matter what challenges life throws your way, you don't have to face them alone.
You've got people.
You have a whole team of people in your corner cheering you on and supporting you every step of the way.
I love that this conversation's already making me feel more connected and supported, even just talking about it.
I love that.
It's amazing how powerful these simple concepts can be.
It's true. And we're just getting started. There's so much more to explore when it comes to building resilience. So stay tuned for part 3, where we'll delve into the power of self-compassion and how it can transform your relationship with yourself and your ability to handle anything life throws your way.
All right, welcome back to the final part of our resilience deep dive.
I'm excited.
I'm feeling really energized by like all these practical tips. But I gotta say, like, sometimes the biggest challenge isn't like the external stuff. It's that voice inside my head.
Yes.
You know, the one that's like, you're not good enough.
Yeah.
You should be doing more.
Oh, yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Well, you're talking about that inner critic.
Yeah.
And you're not alone.
Okay.
This is something that Brené Brown talks about a lot in her research. She actually calls it the shame gremlin.
Shame gremlin.
Okay.
I love that.
But it can be a major obstacle to building resilience.
Yeah, because it's so loud sometimes.
It is.
It like drowns out any sense of confidence or self-belief.
Right. So the key is to cultivate self-compassion.
Self-compassion.
Yeah, it might sound cheesy.
Okay.
But it's basically about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a close friend who's going through a tough time.
But that's easier said than done.
It is.
We're often so much harder on ourselves than we are on anyone else.
That's where the practice comes in. So the first step is simply noticing when that inner critic starts chattering away. Pay attention to the language you're using with yourself. Is it harsh, critical, judgmental?
So like catching yourself in the act of self-sabotage.
Exactly. Once you become aware of those negative thought patterns, you can start to challenge them. Ask yourself, would I say this to a friend? And if the answer is no, then why are you saying it to yourself?
That's a good point.
It's like holding up a mirror to those negative thoughts and realizing how distorted they really are.
Okay, so then instead of like beating yourself up about it, what do you do?
Well, instead of berating yourself, try offering words of encouragement and support. Remind yourself that you're doing the best you can with the resources you have.
So it's like having an inner cheerleader.
Yes.
Instead of an inner critic.
Exactly. And the more you practice self-compassion, the stronger that inner cheerleader becomes.
This is making me realize that self-compassion isn't about like letting yourself off the hook or ignoring your mistakes. It's about approaching yourself with understanding.
Yes.
And like a willingness to learn and grow.
You hit the nail on the head. Self-compassion is about acknowledging that you're human, that you're going to make mistakes, and that it's okay. It's about giving yourself permission to be imperfect and to learn from your experiences.
This is all connecting so beautifully. We've talked about training our brains and our bodies to handle stress, the importance of vulnerability and connection, and now like this crucial element of self-compassion. It feels like all these pieces are like coming together to create like this really powerful foundation for resilience.
And that's exactly it. It's not about any one thing. It's about cultivating this holistic approach that addresses all aspects of your being.
Okay.
Physical, emotional, and social.
And the best part is that, like, these tools are available to everyone.
They are.
You don't need any special skills or resources to start building your resilience.
Just start today.
Yeah, it's all about making small, consistent changes in your daily life.
Absolutely.
So, like, choose one or two of these strategies we've talked about and see how they work for you.
See what resonates with you.
Yeah, maybe it's taking a few minutes each day for deep breathing.
That's a great one.
Or like making an effort to connect with a friend or a loved one.
Yes.
Or maybe it's just noticing when your inner critic starts to pipe up and choosing to respond with kindness instead of judgment.
Love it.
Small steps, big impact.
Yes.
And remember, building resilience is a journey, not a destination.
It is.
There's going to be ups and downs along the way.
There will be.
But by embracing these practices and cultivating self-compassion, you can really equip yourself to handle those challenges with grace.
Absolutely.
And emerge even stronger on the other side.
That's the goal.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a challenge. Think about one small thing you can do this week to push yourself outside your comfort zone.
We'll love it.
Something that aligns with like all the principles we've been talking about.
Yes.
Maybe it's trying a cold shower.
Okay.
Reaching out to someone you haven't spoken to in a while.
Great idea.
Or just practicing self-compassion the next time you make a mistake.
Perfect.
It's like designing your own personal stress inoculation experiment.
I love it.
We'd love to hear what challenges you come up with.
Yeah.
Share your ideas with us.
Share them.
And let's keep this conversation going.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of resilience.
This is great.
Remember, you are stronger than you think.
So true.
And you have the power to create a life filled with resilience and joy and connection.
I love that